Truth is, I am Iron Man.
And with that iconic line, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is born. Welcome to Kabiga's Reviews, and this is Iron Man. Starring Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, Terrence Howard as James Rhodes, Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane, Clark Gregg as Agent Phil Coulson, and directed by the amazing Jon Favreau. Billionaire playboy philanthropist Tony Stark, who made his fortune largely through the selling of weapons, finds himself in a situation that he needs to get himself out of. Betrayed by those closest to him and supported by the one he will come to love, Tony decides to make a change, make a stand, and stand up to the evils of the world and become a superhero. So what makes this movie work for me is the fact that it's not just your run-of-the-mill superhero film. It's not some guy that crash lands from a meteorite or from another planet. This is just a human being who, through adversity, decides that he's not going to stand for it, and he stands up to be countered, which is a great human story. Now, Tony Stark has the means and the know-how to actually affect the change that he wants to make. So he goes on this journey, he escapes, he learns a truth, a terrible truth that we could all face. Basically, his company is double dealing under the table. This appears in Star Wars, particularly The Last Jedi, where they are selling starships to both sides of the galactic war. And in this movie, Stark Industries are not only selling weapons to the US military, they're also selling the same weapons to the Ten Rings terrorist group. Now, I use those terms because that's how they're described in the film. So, you know, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. I'm not judging that. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. But what I'm saying to you is that he learns that he's being lied to and manipulated for profits, which is something I think we can all actually relate to. Now, a little bit of a history about the character of Tony Stark. And I admit that I'm not a big comic book guy, but I do follow the MCU, and I've been a massive fan of Marvel for a lot of years, since 2008 in fact. And Tony Stark actually has an alcohol problem, as I understand it, in the comic books in the original storyline, and that's seen or touched upon in this film, because now admittedly he lives a playboy lifestyle, but there is a lot of alcohol drinking in this film, particularly at the beginning, where he, even when he's selling the Jericho missiles to, or trying to, and he's demonstrating the Jericho missile to the US military in Afghanistan, he opens up a case that's got lots and lots of alcohol in it, and he takes a drink out and he says, we sell these with however many orders. You know, he makes a joke out of it. And then when he's in the convoy, he's even drinking then. So I think that was Marvel's kind of PG-13 way of touching upon the alcoholism, which is much more prevalent in Tony Stark's character in the actual comics. Then, of course, there's his kidnap, which is from that convoy in Afghanistan by the Ten Rings, which, as we find out later on down the line, may or may not actually be the Ten Rings. But we'll find out about that when we get to Iron Man 3, I suppose. So he gets kidnapped and he gets into this cave where he is operated on by Jensen, a guy who's from a little village called Golmira. Now that comes back later on in the film because it is a real catalyst for Tony actually deciding to take action. So he builds himself, in order to escape, builds himself the Mark I Iron Man suit, which is basically, he takes all these parts that the Ten Rings have given him, all this technology that the Ten Rings have given him, and they want him to make a Jericho missile. But instead, what he does is he miniaturizes the arc reactor that he knows about from his own company, Stark Industries, and he uses that to control the shrapnel in his chest, makes a suit of armor, and escapes. Tony is then rescued by Colonel Rhodes, and He's taken home, back to America, back to Stark Industries. But because of what he's learned while in Afghanistan with these terrorists about his weapons, he decides to make big changes. He shuts down the weapons manufacturing arm of Stark Industries, which tanks their share price, causes the company to have a board of directors meeting. He's locked out. He's forced to go into, not hiding, but it's suggested that he doesn't have any public engagements, which allows him the time actually to focus on what he's now decided that he's going to do. He's going to make a change. He wants to make a change, and he wants to build himself a suit of armor, which will come back later on. Tony's desire, his absolute need to protect and build a suit of armor, initially around himself and the people he loves, actually will grow as his story goes on. And I think that's one of the things that's brilliant about the MCU. A lot of people just think it's just superheroes, men in tights, basically, like the old Batman or Superman films, but it really isn't. A lot of it can be and is character stories of very human people making very human decisions and choices, and basically these people decide that enough's enough, and they stand up to injustice, or stand up to evil, stand up to robots. You know, it is a bit fantastical, obviously. It's Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's comic book superheroes, but it's basically grounded very much in reality. And it all started with this movie, Iron Man. So that brings me nicely to the final section of this video. It's not very long, but I didn't really want to focus too much on the movie itself. I'm going to take for granted at this point that you've seen these movies. If you've clicked on a Marvel Cinematic Universe review even, that's about Iron Man, well, really, I think you've seen the film. You just want to know what I think about it. And basically, I love the film. But I love the film even more now because of this. This is a 4K disc of Iron Man, okay? The packaging's not all that to write home about, but I own this on Amazon Prime in 4K, and I've watched it on Disney Plus in 4K, and they do not have a patch on this. The picture is pin sharp and the sound is brilliant. If you can find a nice balance, because the dialogue's a little quiet and the action sequences are massively bombastic. So if you can find that perfect little level, it's brilliant, and the sound goes all around you, and it's just so immersive. I've never seen, as I say, Iron Man look so good. And this film is, how old is it now? About, what's that, 15 years? So as a great start to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Iron Man, we'd be lost without it. So if you get a chance to buy Iron Man on 4K disc, get it. Without a doubt, get it. You will not regret it. So I'm going to leave you with that. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I admit it is a little bit choppy, but that's because I really wanted to talk about this disc. I wanted to tell you how good Iron Man looks in 4K on disc. Physical media, right? There you go, physical media. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Let me know your comments down below. And are you looking forward to The Incredible Hulk? Because that will be the next one. I want to do these videos in release order. All right. So, Iron Man, beginning of the MCU, and it changed cinema as we know it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Drop us a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, drop us a like and subscribe to see all future content.